Story: The Maid and the Leaking Bucket. Once upon a time, in a grand mansion, there lived a kind maid. Each morning, she carried 2 buckets to fetch water from the well. One bucket was new and perfect, while the other was old and leaking. Every time she returned, the new bucket was always full. But the old one held only half its water. Other maids mocked her. "Why not throw the leaky one away? It's useless." But the kind maid simply smiled and kept using it. One day, the old bucket sighed, "I feel worthless. You work so hard to carry me, yet I can never be as full as the new bucket." The maid chuckled and said, "Have you not noticed? Along the path we walk, flowers bloom brightly. It is your drops of water that nourish them each day." The bucket fell silent, then glowed with pride. It finally understood it had its own purpose. From then on, the bucket no longer felt sad, and the maid cared for it dearly, knowing the beauty of the garden came from its little flaws. Moral of the story: this story teaches us that our imperfections can still create beauty and value when embraced in the right way. Story: The Dragon and the Little Flower. Once upon a time, on a high mountain, there lived a mighty dragon. Whenever he spread his wings and roared, the sound echoed across the valley. All creatures fled in fear. Yet among the rocks, a tiny flower bloomed. It did not run, nor tremble in fear. It simply swayed with the wind, showing its bright colors. The dragon bent down and asked, "Little flower, why are you not afraid of me like the others?" The flower replied softly, "Because you are not the wind, nor the rain, nor the sun that decides my growth. I choose to bloom, no matter what surrounds me." The dragon listened, and for the first time, his fierce heart softened. He saw courage and peace within the fragile blossom. From that day on, the dragon never destroyed the valley again. He learned that true strength was not in frightening others, but in protecting the small things that gave life meaning. Moral of the story: this story teaches us that true strength lies not in power over others, but in the kindness to protect what is fragile. Story: The Fox and the Moon's Reflection. Once upon a time, in a quiet forest, there lived a curious little fox. One night, it wandered to a calm pond, where the moon shone brightly in the water. The fox gasped, "Oh, another moon lies in the pond. Maybe I can catch it." It reached its paw into the water, but the moon's image rippled away. Again and again, the fox tried, but every time, the moon vanished into waves. Tired and sad, the fox sighed, "Why can't I hold the moon?" Then, a gentle breeze whispered, "The moon you see is not in the pond, but high in the sky. What you see is only a reflection. If you wish to see the real moon, simply look up." The fox lifted its gaze and saw the glowing moon above the trees. Its eyes sparkled with wonder, and its heart filled with joy. From that night on, the little fox never tried to grab the moon's reflection again. Instead, it would lie under the sky, watching the true moon with happiness. Moral of the story: this story teaches us that not everything we see is real. Sometimes, the true beauty is waiting for us if we just look in the right direction. Story: The Pencil and the Paper. Once upon a time, on a small wooden desk under the glow of a warm lamp, there lay a pencil beside a clean white sheet of paper. They were friends, but often argued with one another. One day, the pencil sighed and said, "I feel worthless. Without you, I cannot leave any trace in this world." The paper smiled gently and replied, "Don't say that. Without you, I would remain empty, with no stories written upon me." Both fell silent for a while. Then, a little child came to the desk and picked up the pencil. He set its tip upon the paper, and gentle scratching sounds filled the air. Line by line, word by word, a story began to form. Tiny drawings appeared beside the sentences. The paper slowly filled with imagination and dreams. The pencil felt proud to create, while the paper felt happy to preserve. As time passed, the pencil grew shorter and shorter. It worried and said, "One day, I will be too small to write anything more." But the paper comforted it. Even when you are gone, every story you wrote will remain within me. And the child will treasure us forever. The pencil paused, then smiled. It realized that its worth was not in its length, but in the marks of beauty and meaning it had left behind. From then on, the pencil and the paper never argued again. They understood that each had value because they needed one another. Together, they could bring imagination and dreams to life. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that our true worth is not measured by how we look, but by the good traces we leave in the world for others to remember. Story: The Hedgehog and the Fireflies' Light. Once upon a time, in a dark forest at night, lived a little hedgehog who was afraid of the dark. Every evening when the sun went down, he would hide in his burrow, too scared to go outside. One night, the hedgehog took a tiny lantern and stepped into the darkness. His heart raced, but he kept walking bravely. Suddenly, hundreds of fireflies appeared, glowing brightly in the night sky. The hedgehog's eyes widened with wonder, and he smiled. Oh, the darkness is not empty at all. It hides beauty within. From that night on, the hedgehog was never afraid of the dark again. He learned that sometimes, what we fear may hold hidden beauty waiting to be discovered. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that courage can lead us to find beauty, even in the places we fear the most. Story: The Clock and the Sunbeam. Once upon a time, in a quiet wooden house, a little pocket watch hung near the window. Every day, its hands ticked steadily, yet it felt its work was meaningless. One day, a warm sunbeam shone through the window. The clock spoke sadly. I tick and tack all day and night, but I don't know if I matter at all. The sunbeam chuckled and said, "Don't you see? Every time you tick, people know the time. They wake up, they work, they rest, they return home all because of you." The clock fell silent, slowly moving its hands. But I am just a small sound, unseen and unnoticed. The sunbeam glowed brighter and replied, "Sometimes, what's important doesn't have to be loud or grand. Being steady and true is enough to keep the world moving." The clock smiled for the first time, its heart warm. It realized that even its tiny tick-tock carried great value for everyone's life. From then on, the clock was never sad again. Every beat of its hands was filled with pride, knowing it was helping people live their days to the fullest. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that small, consistent actions can hold great meaning for those around us.